The anthem was not mine, but I couldn't help but smile as I stood next to Philip Hodgen. We weren't friends. Elite competition makes friendship difficult, but I respected him, and I believe he respected me, especially after our race. As you would expect from a world record holder, he took off like a rocket, but in the second half I cranked him up. If it had been 16 kilometers instead of 15 km, I'm sure I would have won gold. But the silver was amazing, especially after it ended the Norwegian victory. There was no way I was going to wear a hat to the stand, so the wind in my hair also stung my nose and ears a little while we took the obligatory photos. Philip invited me and Marcus Amundsen to the top of the podium. Marcus and I held the bouquets in our outer arms, and Philip put his arm around our shoulders. It's corny, but sincere. There aren't many divas in skiing, just like Scandinavia. I hugged my family after the ceremony, and even the old man turned pale. Mom couldn't stop touching the medal, and if she told me once how proud she was of me, she said it 100 times. They joined me for dinner with two of my coaches and several teammates. Not everyone drank, but I drank. I had no other competitions left, which is one of the reasons I raced so hard, and I was very happy when I was put to bed that night. I looked at the large, beautiful silver medal hanging on the lamp next to my bed. I was so proud of my race, and this medal will always show everyone that I came second at the World Championships that day. Second in the whole world. But my last thought before closing my eyes was not about my medal. Instead, as always, I thought about Anna. I relived the voicemail she left after streaming my race. "Oh, you did it. Silver medal. And you almost won. You were so close. I'm so happy for you. I can't wait to see you. Oh, this is just amazing. Come home soon." I smiled again. It was always Anna. "Dude, this is Anna. Anna, that ugly asshole is Chase." Todd was my cousin and also my best friend, but he had a rough mouth and liked to embarrass people, especially me. My name was Charles, but ever since I started skiing, I've been called Chase. Because that's what I did. I followed until I caught the leader. Back then, Anna was short and slender, and her huge blue eyes were clear, curious, and appraising. She had a big smile that she would grow into. Years later, she was still short, but she had gained weight and perfected the feminine shape. An hourglass figure attracted all kinds of male attention. I was captivated by Ann Carson from the first moment. We met as freshmen in high school. Unfortunately, she friend-zoned me almost immediately, as she herself was fascinated by a lot of boys who were taller, broad-shouldered, and much more popular than me. In our small rural high school, she was the smartest, sweetest, and funniest girl, so she had her pick of guys. She didn't choose me. It took me all of first year to accept that she just wouldn't give me a chance. I've always been very competitive, Chase, right? But I was never stubborn, so I dated a few other girls I liked in high school. I think it really helped me feel comfortable around women. Because the stakes in the relationship were not high for me, I could listen and interact without worrying or doing stupid or crazy things. I sexplorated a couple of girls from my senior year, and it went pretty well. There wasn't much drama at the end of that relationship, so overall I escaped school emotionally unscathed, although I always missed Anna. Like most of the kids in our school who went to college, we attended UVM and luck put us in the same dorm. But while she still had plenty of games to play, the it girl from high school was no longer the smartest, the cutest, or the liveliest. Well, except in my eyes. I was still in the friend zone, and maybe that's why she was attracted to me. I think I was her window into the opaque world of young men, her trusted advisor on all things manly. But we were both more than just sex-crazed teenagers, so as we spent more and more time together, we deepened our friendship without the distractions of sex or romance. It was wonderful spending time with her, but it was also terrible because I was deeply in love with her, and all she wanted to talk about was Paul and Craig and Big Jim. I think she was most attracted to Ted, but I had to explain to her that he was actually quite loving. We come from the same part of the world, we had similar values and views, but we also complemented each other. Anna was balanced, thoughtful, but a little absent-minded. The ability to work in a team was her superpower. She had a talent for listening carefully, absorbing important information, identifying key issues, and then creatively proposing solutions that brought the most benefit to the most people. Everyone who knew her wanted her in their study groups because she contributed far more than anyone else. But she had a bit of a hard time when she didn't have anyone to help her define her goals. I, on the other hand, was hyper-focused and relentless. I was very good at setting goals and was willing to suffer greatly to achieve them, but usually only for myself. Some would call me selfish. I consider this rather myopic. I was so engrossed in my own activities, especially skiing, that I had no room to think about anyone else. Except Anna. I thought about her a lot. So we made a great team. I understood very well where we needed to go, and Anna brilliantly managed to get us all there together. We studied different things. She majored in psychology, and I majored in business, but we had a few classes in common, and I think she saw me a little differently as our freshman year came to an end. She seemed a lot warmer to me after seeing that I was willing to work as hard for the success of our groups as I did on skis. In the summer, we drove in the same car to our hometown. I was hoping that we could continue our relationship, but instead she reconnected with many of her friends. I trained in the off-season for the ski team and drove a van at my mom's flower shop, so Anna and I only saw each other a few times. We texted every couple of days, but nothing serious, just funny gifs and random things that reminded us of college. However, we renewed our friendship as soon as we returned to campus. I hoped she would forget about our friendship and see that we could be a good couple. But then she found my enemy. Chase, I just met the man I'm going to marry. Anna's eyes usually became a little manic when she found a new object for her feelings, but they almost rolled when she came down on me at the Davis Center. Brad Thornton wasn't a bad guy, and that made me feel even worse. I understood why Anna liked him. He was an average-looking guy, but he had tons of charisma, an ever-present smile, and a handsome streak about a mile wide. He seemed to know everyone and always had a kind word for everyone. The sun always seemed to follow him and shine on him all day, but he remained grounded. He brought people together for various events, and they all thoroughly enjoyed what he had to offer. He was like a piper, only without malice. And Anna fell in love with him. Truly, like a bolt from the blue, I fell in love. She followed him around campus, and, as always, he talked to her, included her in his activities, and made time to communicate with her. But he was strangely hesitant about her. I'm not the most observant person, like I said. I'm short-sighted, but even I could see the irony. I would give Anna everything she wanted, but she had no romantic interest in me. And she would have given Bradley everything she had and would have stolen something else, but he was not interested in her. I chuckled more than once thinking about it. But Anna and I were friends, so I had to listen to everything about him. By the end of my second year, I was perhaps the world's third leading expert on Bradley Thornton after his own mother and Anna. Then everything changed in the third year. Oh, Anna was still crazy about Bradley Thornton, and I was still holding a candle for Anna. But the first big change was that the University of Vermont won the National Nordic Skiing Championship. We had a strong team, otherwise we wouldn't have won, and I was our best rider. I received a lot of attention from both a ski and snowboard and a lot of students. Anna couldn't help but notice my increased profile, and I think it helped change her view of me. I had less time to listen to her rave about Bradley Thornton because I was dating several other women. I gained a lot of valuable experience that year, both on and off the slopes. But an even bigger change came when Brad Thornton met Amanda Roth. She was a year younger than us, a plump and short woman, but I think no one could have found a person with a kinder heart. Her smile seemed to be a permanent fixture on her face, and Brad Thornton was hooked. Two of the kindest people possibly in the whole world, and they became inseparable. A small engagement ring appeared on Mandy's left ring finger shortly before we all went home for the summer. Anna was inconsolable, and I supported her. We talked a lot over the summer, and I even held her in my arms when she cried about her unfulfilled love for Bradley Thornton. I was a strong shoulder for her, but I was also an attractive guy in great shape with a few groupies who might be interested in me, prying me away from Anna. and it seemed to me that when Anna recovered a little from her sadness, she began to see me in a different light. We returned to university together for our fourth year, and there was definitely a change in our relationship. We weren't exactly dating, but she flirted with me more, and often specifically asked me to do things together, when before I would just join the group. Right before graduation, I got a part-time job as a technical sales consultant at a software company in Burlington. I also had a scholarship from several sponsors. I met through a ski and snowboard so I could continue training, and she got a full-time consultant job at school system, so we kept our apartments and transitioned seamlessly into post-college life. We still went home together for holidays and special occasions, and when we returned to Burlington the Saturday after Thanksgiving, she changed the course of my life. Do you want to come up, Chase? Certainly. I only have Curly at home, and he doesn't seem to notice whether I'm home or not. He's a cat. Of course he doesn't care. I followed her up the stairs to her apartment, as I had done hundreds of times before. We took off our coats, got out our beers, and sat down next to her on her comfortable old couch. She tucked one leg under her and placed her bottle on the coffee table. She took mine and did the same, then took my hands in hers. Chase, I have never thanked you for your friendship. We've known each other for almost 9 years now, and you've always been the person I could rely on. You have been my best friend for many years. I shrugged. In fact, she thanked me many times over the years, but only for specific acts of comfort. That's what friends are for. You always did more than that, Chase. I know you like me, and not as a friend, and for a long time I didn't think the same about you, but you didn't let that get in the way of our friendship. You stayed by my side and never made it weird. She was voicing a part of our relationship that wasn't usually talked about out loud, and I felt a little exposed, to be honest. I didn't need an explicit discussion. The conversation made everything strange. I fidgeted involuntarily, and she smiled at my discomfort. Don't worry, Chase. I needed to acknowledge this before continuing. I've been watching you for a long time, and I can't believe I was so blind to what a wonderful guy you are. While I was dating all these guys, you were here, listening to me, supporting me, encouraging me, doing everything I wanted in a guy. I perked up a little. This conversation was getting interesting. I tried to remember to breathe. I just wanted to tell you that I am open to a more fulfilling relationship with you. If you're interested, of course. If not, I can maintain our friendship just like you. This is really important to me. I was speechless. She looked at me with her big blue eyes and waited for my answer, but I was shocked. The corners of her mouth curled slightly into a condescending smile as she watched my stupor. Apparently, she knew better than anyone about my many years of falling in love with her, and I was desperately trying to realize that I had been so transparent to her. And yet she gave me my greatest desire. I couldn't refuse her, and I think she knew that, so she could afford to wait for me to come back to awareness. Yeah, sure. I wasn't the most vocal, but Anna didn't seem to mind. She smiled, and her blue eyes sparkled. I may not have been entirely confident in the bet, but she knew the odds were heavily in her favor. Very much. She squeezed my hands and pulled me towards her. I watched her eyes get closer, bigger, and then they closed, and I felt her lips on mine. And then time stopped, and a symphony orchestra began to sound in my head. That first kiss was everything I rarely dared dream of. If I had any doubts, they vanished at that very moment. I will always be 100% her. Perhaps I have always been like this. She pulled me to my feet and gently guided me to her bedroom. The clothes came off pretty quickly, and Anna naked was just as gorgeous as I had imagined. Our togetherness was intense, persistent, but not fussy. I felt like I was outside my body, but I was aware enough to register every sensation, and I wanted to make sure she enjoyed every moment. We were engaged in love all night. In the morning we made love again, and then I returned home in a fog to my indifferent cat and a suddenly empty apartment. That's how we started dating. Pretty soon we began to spend the night together, not every day, but 3, 4, or even 5 times a week. I couldn't imagine my life getting any better. My skiing improved, and I joined the national team, albeit in the reserves. I was doing so well at my job that my company wanted to make me full-time while still allowing time for me to train. And now I had Anna as a partner. I felt complete. Brad Thornton and Mandy Roth got married, and neither Anna nor I were invited to the wedding. I barely knew the bride, and Mr. Wonderful himself was on the periphery of my life. I'm sure Mandy knew about Anna's crush on her future husband, so she didn't need it on their special day. We both didn't really care that we weren't invited. I was a little annoyed that Anna followed them on social media, but she rarely mentioned them in conversations, so I turned a blind eye to it. Our families seemed very happy that we were a couple, and we began spending time with both families when we returned home. Both mothers began hinting at marriage, mainly for the sake of their grandchildren, but our lives were busy and going so well that neither of us was in a hurry to make the relationship official. I moved up to the main ski team, which meant a lot of competition during the ski season, and that meant a lot of travel, mostly to Europe. Anna never traveled with me. It's difficult to advise schoolchildren from 6 time zones. Yes, the wedding could wait until things calmed down. Lying in my bed in Planica, with my silver medal next to my bed and dreams of Anna, I thought that everything had calmed down. It would be difficult to top this performance, and perhaps it was time to move on to the next chapters of my life, all of which I desperately hoped would include Anna. She rushed to me and gave me a big hug as I walked out of the arrivals area at Burlington International Airport. My flight went smoothly, but I don't think I would have noticed even if it hadn't. With the medal in my bag and the ring for Anna in my pocket, I felt like I could fly home. Anna wanted a detailed story about my trip, and she allowed me to briefly retell the race. We didn't live together officially, but if I was in town, we didn't spend the night apart, so she went to my apartment with me. The cat may have been punishing me for being away by ignoring my arrival and presence while I unpacked, but that seemed to be the way he usually treated me. He was an asshole as a roommate eating the food I bought, making me clean up after him, all the while rubbing himself against Anna right in front of me. She thought he was charming. "Let's get something to eat, Anna. If, of course, you can let Curly go." She laughed and lifted the cat so she could look him in the face. "He's such a grump, Curly. See you later." We went to the farmhouse tap and grill. I would have preferred the spot on the dock, but it doesn't open until May and I wasn't going to wait that long. We were quickly seated and ordered beer. I took a breath and took her hands in mine, which got her full and undivided attention. "Anna, you know that I loved you from the moment we met, right?" She smiled and nodded. "Well, the last 3 years have been absolutely amazing for me, and it's all thanks to you." "I'm sure the silver medal also played a role," she said with a smile. I laughed. "Yes, but that's just the icing on the cake. You are the cake. I can't imagine being happier than with you." I took out the ring box and opened it so she could see the ring. The middle diamond wasn't very big, just over a carat, but it was flawless and surrounded by 4 small emeralds that were her birthstone. Her eyes became huge and her mouth opened. "I want to marry you, Anna. Please accept this ring as my commitment to be the best partner you can imagine." She slowly took the ring box, looking at it almost in awe. Finally, she closed her mouth and looked at me. I was very pleased that I surprised her. "I don't know what to say, Chase. It is so beautiful. Not as beautiful as you, and you will make me the happiest person on earth if you say yes." "Oh God, Chase, it's stunning. I do not know what to say." "I'd love it if you said yes, Anna." "I love you, Chase. You know that, right?" "Okay, this didn't go the way I thought it would. Something didn't work out, and I didn't know whether Anna or I myself had lost my way. I hope you love me. That's why I'm asking you to marry me." "Oh, Chase, it's perfect. But marriage is a huge step. I don't know if I'm ready." "We practically lived together for 2 years, Anna, and quite successfully. What else do you need to know about us?" I was hurt and started to get annoyed at her reaction too. Her eyes looked away for a moment, but that was enough for me to know she was contemplating something. I couldn't read her mind, but I could tell when she was thinking about something important. "What's going on, Anna?" We knew each other very well, so she knew not to lie to me. She sighed, then closed the lid of the ring box. The soft click was a dagger into my heart. "I will marry you, Chase, but there is something you need to know. I won't hold it against you if you decide to take your ring back." "Fine." I tried to maintain my composure, and although I wanted to hear what she had to say, I was emotionally confused. I struggled to keep my attention. "You know how much I love Brad Thornton. I know you were heartbroken when he met Mandy, but that was more than 4 years ago. I thought you had outgrown it." "I haven't outgrown it. I love him. He will always be the perfect man for me." "But you said you loved me." "I really love you. I love that you're so supportive and attentive, so smart and focused, so committed to our relationship." "But you love Brad Thornton." "Yes, I love. And I love you too." "You love him more." Anna is silent for a few moments. Finally, she sighed. "I really love you. You're a wonderful guy. But you will always be second in my heart. I wish it weren't so. I wish I could love you more. But this place is occupied and always will be. I won't choose anyone else over you, but if I have to choose between you and Brad, I'll choose him. If you can handle this, then I will happily marry you." My tears flowed, and I couldn't stop them. I ran out, leaving Anna to sort things out with the restaurant and find your way back to your apartment. I don't remember anything after leaving the restaurant. Not driving home, not turning off the phone, not turning on the TV, not eating a liter of ice cream with toffee pieces. I saw all this when I woke up on the couch the next day. Curly sat on my chest, demanding his food, but surprisingly gently. I realized that this was probably the maximum of his sympathy. I had several texts and one voicemail from Anna, all asking how I was. There was no reproach in her messages, in fact. They sounded apologetic, even regretful. Alone in my apartment, I thought about Anna's words. She cut me to the core, and I felt completely confused. What did she think we were doing for the last 3 years? I loved her so deeply and completely, and she acted the same way towards me. How could I have been so wrong? On the other hand, maybe she wasn't lying. Maybe she really loved me too. Not as much as Brad Thornton, but that doesn't mean she was lying when she declared her love for me. And with Brad Thornton unavailable, she didn't need to admit her feelings. She could have taken the ring, kissed me, and smiled, and we would have continued our lives together. So why did she tell me about her feelings for him? The most noble answer is that she did not want to enter into a marriage with unresolved feelings for Bradel Thornton. She chose full disclosure because she respected me and my feelings. By hurting me now, she was preventing possible problems in the future. For example, if she didn't want to have my children. Openness is exactly what we expect from intimate partners, and she respected that. But for what? We don't hurt the people we love if there is another way. Brad Thornton was married, presumably happily, so if Anna really loved me and Brad Thornton was unavailable, why would she throw him in my face like she did? I could only assume that she was hoping that Brad Thornton would become available to her. Did they have a relationship? I couldn't understand it, but I couldn't control her all the time either. Were there problems in the Thorntons' marriage that were not obvious to me? Quite possible, considering that I knew almost nothing about him. Did Anna have inside information about Brad and Mandy Thornton? Did they have an open marriage that Anna wanted to exploit? I did not know. So many questions. I didn't want to look at them all. I couldn't look at them all. I wanted Anna, the problem solver, to help me, but I couldn't trust her to do it. I needed to find my own path. So I started with what I always started with when assessing situations. What do I want? I wanted Anna. I wanted to marry Anna. I wanted to wake up next to her every day, share news of our day over dinner, have children, and raise them in a healthy family full of love. Was it achievable? I did not know. She loved Brad Thornton, the supposedly unavailable Brad Thornton, more than she loved me. But what did this mean in practice? As far as I knew, she did not see him regularly, and perhaps did not see him at all. Will she skip events with me to be with him? Even if he agreed, I don't think Mandy would tolerate it. Did Anna just want to fantasize about marrying him? Did she think about him when we made love? She always seemed completely present when we were intimate, so I didn't think that was happening. My gaze fell on the box with my silver medal that my mother made. It was an amazing day, one of the best days of my life, and as always, my heart bursts with pride when I remember that race. I realized the irony when comparing that day to this. I was so proud to be second in the world that day, and today being second to one person destroyed me. Could I be happy being Anna's second? The only woman I've ever truly loved. If she accepted me, would I be able to put aside the wounds of not being her ideal man? I don't think so. But maybe I was looking at it wrong. Perhaps I should have reconsidered the question. Perhaps the real question was, could I win Brad Thornton for Anna's heart? I was terribly competitive. Could I convince her that I was the best man for her? Could I win her heart once and for all? I was tireless in my training and racing. Could I channel this tirelessness and show Anna that I really deserve to be first? I like this plan. I will not passively accept the current situation. I won't complain about my failure. I won't judge Anna or even Brad Thornton for that matter. I loved her completely, and I will just show Anna that I am the best husband she could ever want. The tension is gone. I will marry my true love, and I will win her complete and unconditional love. I fell asleep instantly sitting on the sofa, wiping away the agony of the last few hours, inspired by the box containing my silver medal. We sat opposite each other at a small table in Anna's kitchen. She held my hands loosely, as she always did when we had a serious conversation. She seemed thoughtful, concerned, compassionate even, but I just couldn't reconcile her loving behavior with her words the day before. I don't understand what's happening to us, Anna. We dated for 3 years. We made love hundreds of times. Have you been pretending all this time? Did you think about Bradley Thornton when you were with me? Anna's face was serious. I never, ever thought about anyone else when we made love, or even when we were just together. When we were together, I was completely with you. Brad is married. I accepted it. But sometimes, when I'm alone, I think about what my life would be like if we were a couple. So why be so cruel as to tell me this? If you know you'll never be with him, why make me feel second-rate? It's just not love. On the contrary, I think it shows how much I respect you, how much I love you. I could never take advantage of you. I could never hide anything from you, especially if we got married. I believe in complete honesty in matters of the heart. My feelings for Bradley are too important to hide them from you. I seriously said that I would marry you. I really love you, and I know that you love me, and I think we could be very happy together. But you have to know that Brad will always have a piece of my heart. But why? You will never be with him. Why can't you leave your feelings for him? Anna shrugged. My heart wants what it wants. I can't put my feelings aside, and I don't want to. I made peace with them before we started dating, but I couldn't live a full life with you without acknowledging that part. It wouldn't be fair to you. Her words made me more determined to win. I'll be the best damn husband the world has ever seen. Attentive. To those who love. Supportive. She will never doubt that I put her first. Brad Thornton will be a thing of the past when she sees how devoted I am to her. But I didn't mind playing a little. I don't like that you hold fire in your heart when it should be for your partner, not for some other guy from your past. He's not just some other guy. I'm in love with him, and probably always will be to some extent. But this does not stop me from living my life to the fullest and being committed to other relationships. And don't doubt that I love you. You're a wonderful guy, and I'm lucky that you love me. Just not as much as you love him. For now. Anna let go of my hands and went to the sink to get a glass of water. She turned around and leaned her back against the sink. You know where I stand. What do you want, Chase? Do you still want to marry me? I always wanted this, Anna. Marriage, children, grow old together. This is my dream. We can have it. Unless Brad Thornton gets divorced. Anna sighed heavily. Chase, There is no guarantee that you won't find someone else who will capture your heart more than me. Which of us could get into a car accident tomorrow? Who knows what will happen next? I understand your surprise and questions, but I think you are making a mountain out of a molehill. We can be very, very happy together. Do you want to marry me, or do you want to find someone else? I had already made my decision, and she challenged me to it. She made some valid points, and although I was not happy that she still had feelings for Brattle Thornton, I knew that our love would only grow stronger as the years passed. Okay? Then yes, I still want to marry you. Her dazzling smile almost erased the agony of the last few hours, and although that would have been reward enough, she then dragged me into her bedroom, where we made love uncontrollably for 5 hours, interrupted only by sleep and shower. I loved her madly, and she showed that she loved me too. We spared our families the messy details of how we got engaged, and they were delighted but not surprised when we told them of our intention. We were Yankees, so there were no tantrums, just a lot of satisfied smiles. Both mothers threw themselves into the planning, while both fathers brought me out of the fire. Anna and I were in no rush, so mostly she created a schedule that would accommodate everything we wanted for the wedding. Autumn is the best time of year everywhere, but especially in Vermont, and that's where our date fell. We wanted an outdoor ceremony followed by a small reception, and if there was no rain or early snow, this would be perfect. And it was perfect. I was wearing a dark blue suit, as was Todd, my witness. Anna's dress was stunning, ivory, with lots of lace and beading. It covered her completely, but was tight-fitting, so that it took little imagination to imagine what was underneath. Holding her father's hand, she confidently walked along the carpet laid on the uneven lawn, and we also walked confidently together, smiling. The reception was low-key. I told you we were Yankees, but we had a dance, a cake cutting, and even a garter and bouquet toss. We had about 60 guests, and everyone seemed to enjoy it. I know Anna and I enjoyed ourselves, although we relied on photos and videos to remember everything. We honeymooned in San Diego, where we visited all the tourist spots, including the beach. Coming home to the first snow was a bit of a shock, but we've lived in New England all our lives, so it was easy to transition into winter mode. I left the national ski team at the end of the previous season, so although I went full-time to work, I had more time for Anna. It was a good deal. I loved this woman, and I kept my promise to treat her like a treasure. And just as I thought, she enjoyed the attention and reciprocated. We lived in a beautiful, loving bubble. We had been married for just over 2 years when morning sickness announced the birth of our first daughter. We bought our first home, a 3-bedroom starter apartment, and Anna had an easy pregnancy. Well, except for the fatigue, weight gain, and an active baby who was turning everything inside of her. We were biased, but when Patricia, we call her Patty, came into the world, we thought she was the most beautiful creature ever created. Until Elizabeth Beth came along 3 years later, when we had to admit it was a draw. As befits firstborns, Patty was diligent, confident, and highly motivated by approval, making her relatively easy to guide. And as befits the latter, Beth was stubborn, creative, and highly motivated to create chaos, making her impossible to direct. We loved them both unconditionally. I couldn't imagine greater happiness. My happiness began to fall apart 4 years after Beth was born. I didn't realize it at first, remember, I'm short-sighted, but one day an innocent remark and an uncharacteristic question exposed a crack that would destroy us. "I'll be late tonight," Anna told me on the phone. "I need to take something. Can you feed the girls if I'm late? Chili is being prepared in the slow cooker." She often ran errands. Being a mom to 2 little girls meant a lot of running around, and she always told me if it would affect me. It was innocent, because such conversations between us happened often. "Certainly. Where are you driving?" I almost never asked her about errands, so my question was out of character for me. But her hesitation in answering caught my attention. "I will take the casserole to a family who is going through illness." "Oh no, I'm very sorry to hear this. What kind of family is this?" It was in my nature. I'm not an asshole. I care about people, and I was upset to hear about someone else's struggles. Anna hesitated again. The Thornton family. I didn't understand right away. We haven't talked about Bradel Thornton since we got engaged 10 years ago. I know them. Another pregnant silence. This is Brad and Mandy. Mandy is undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer. It still took me a few moments to understand, and I felt a burning pain in my heart when I understood. I needed to end the conversation. I'm very sorry to hear this. I'll make sure the girls are fed. I ended the call. Anna called back immediately, but I didn't pick up. I was not plunged into a fog like the night my proposal failed. In fact, I had the opposite reaction. My senses became acute, and I was hyper-aware of my rapid breathing, the random sounds of people walking around the office, talking on the phone or typing on keyboards, the lingering smell of the biryani that someone had microwaved for lunch. I felt a clarity I had rarely experienced. Several things became immediately obvious. First, Anna remained in close enough contact with Brad Thornton to know about his family. Secondly, at some point she began to interact with them, so now she was close enough to bring them food. Third, she wasted her time on Brad Thornton, even after all my efforts to show her how I felt about her. Fourth, she hid all this information from me. Secrets poison close relationships, and this was a pretty big secret for me. I didn't know what to do. Anna and I were a team, but like the night of my proposal, I couldn't approach her with my questions. And remembering how I used the time between my first proposal and the one that Anna accepted, I was almost sure that I needed an outside perspective. But who to turn to? The only person that came to mind was Todd. I always trusted him. He introduced me to Anna, so I always thought he might be on her side a little, but there were no other options. We decided to meet at Finnegan's. It wasn't quite there, but no one would notice us. So she's in love with that asshole Brad Thornton. Todd did not go to college, choosing instead to apprentice with his father at a home plumbing company. They expanded to Burlington, and Todd ran the store here. He had never met the graceful and amiable Brad Thornton, but I was in no mood to correct him. Seems like it. And she told you before the wedding that she was in love with that little bastard? She did it. And you still married her? She's my ideal woman, Todd. I've always loved her. He snorted, then took a long sip of his Guinness. You've always loved her, but she's not your ideal woman. Anna is smart and lively, good, attentive. She's an amazing mom. She makes me laugh. And she's still as beautiful as ever. She's perfect. She may be all this shit, but she's not perfect. Not for you. She doesn't love you, Chase. Not this way. So how can she be your ideal woman? Boom. As soon as Todd said those words, I realized them. I always knew this. I buried this thought deep while I convinced myself that I could change Anna's feelings for me, but this truth was always there. I thought I'd be Hercules guiding the river Alpheus to cleanse the Augean stables of Anne's love for Bradel Thornton, but instead I ended up being Sisyphus pushing a stone that would never reach the heights of the exalted Brad Thornton, and it will be like this for all eternity. I nodded grimly, we clink our glasses, then finished our Irish stouts in silence. Todd stood up and put on his jacket. You're eating a damn shit sandwich, Chase. Good luck. Patty, Beth, and I ate chili and crackers. Well, Patty and I ate chili. Beth mostly ate crackers and frowned when I refused to make her macaroni and cheese. But Dad, you already have cheese for the chili. All you have to do is boil the pasta. We're eating chili tonight, Angel. Maybe tomorrow we'll have pasta for dinner. We had pasta for dinner last night, Dad. Patty believed that she was responsible for keeping our house in order, and if it annoyed her sister, well, that was a definite bonus. As an experienced parent, I realized that I was in a no-win situation. We'll discuss this with Mom when she gets home. The girls weren't fussing about cleaning the kitchen yet, but they couldn't add much to the task, so I had to store the chili, rinse our plates, and show them how to put them in the dishwasher and then clean out the crock pot. Anna returned shortly after we finished. The girls pounced on her, with Beth asking for pasta for tomorrow's dinner and Patty again pointing out that her friend Molly had a PlayStation and that we should have one too. Anna hugged them and gave them almost all her attention as she moved around the kitchen and went to our bedroom to change, but I saw that she was watching me too. I nodded in greeting, then went into the living room to watch the Boston Bruins pre-game show. The girls continued their verbal attack while Anna changed, and they stayed with her while she heated up the chili for dinner. I couldn't tell what exactly Pedersen or Jaff said about the Bruins or their sacrifice for the night, but I could repeat every word from the kitchen. We watched each other while we got the girls ready for bed. I bathed them and brushed their teeth. Anna put on their pajamas and read books to them. The Bruins were leading 2-1 when Anna walked into the living room and sat down on the couch. I was in my big chair. I never unfolded it who can watch TV while lying upside down. But it was comfortable, and I didn't want to be near Anna right now. Thanks for taking care of their dinner, Chase. Please. Do you want to talk about it? Not much to talk about, is there? Well, you hung up and ignored my calls. I had a job. That's bullshit, Chase. You're upset about Brad and Mandy. No, I'm upset with you. I don't care about Brad and Mandy. Okay, sometimes I could be an asshole. I'm just helping a family that's going through a difficult time. I couldn't help but snort. And how did you know they were having a hard time? I saw this on Facebook. You knew I kept in touch with them. No, I didn't know that. The last thing you told me about Bradley Thornton was 10 years ago. I thought it was consigned to the trash can of your history. Her eyes looked away for a moment, which meant she knew she was keeping it a secret. When she looked at me again, she also knew that she was caught. I was afraid of such a reaction. You never understood my feelings for Bradley. I think I always understood them. I simply refused to believe in them. What do you mean? You told me that I would always be second in your heart to Bradley Thornton. I just didn't believe that you would stay at this, even after we built a marriage, a family, a life together. But I was wrong. I thought I was very clear about my feelings. You were. And absolutely nothing has changed, Chase. I'm still your wife. I still love you. We still have 2 amazing daughters. Everything is exactly the same as it has always been. No, Anna, it's not like that. Now I know that you never loved me the way I love you. I thought if I tried hard enough to show you how much I love you, how devoted I am to you, how attached I am to you, you would love me just as much. But now I see that you always knew this about me, and it didn't matter to you then, and it doesn't matter to you now. I'm second in your heart, perhaps even lower if you include girls. I was always second, and I will never, never be the first. I didn't know this before, but now I know it, so it's not exactly the same. But we have an amazing marriage, Chase. We're good together. You were happy, I was happy. So nothing has changed. I shook my head slowly. Everything has changed. I can no longer help but see what I now see. I'm no longer the naive fool who agreed to be second-rate. She froze, and I felt a chill descend between us. What do you mean, Chase? I don't want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me. Of course I want to be with you, Chase. I married you. We have a family together. If Mandy dies of her cancer, you'll be there for Brad Thornton, right? You will show him your love, your devotion, your affection. You'll want him to choose you this time, right? Anna's face turned pale. She looked at me with wide eyes, but although she tried, she realized that she could not hide the truth of my words. She slouched slightly, then tried to compose herself. I don't know. Mandy's prognosis is good. She should get better. Nonsense. Let's not pretend. It's not a matter of whether Mandy lives or dies. It's about your feelings for Bradley Thornton. You weren't dishonest. It's not your fault that I refused to listen to you. But now that I see things as they are, I don't think I can continue. Chase, think about what you're saying. Do you want to leave a wonderful marriage, an amazing family, because I brought a casserole to a family with a sick mother? That's not the point, and you know it. Oh, please, are you really that threatening? Yes, I love Brad, but he is married. Mandy will be fine. No one will ever know about my feelings for him. Except me. except you, and you always knew about it throughout our entire relationship, since we started dating. Don't throw away what we've built because of your ego. You speak as if ego is a bad thing. I think it can be if it gets out of control. But I think of the ego not as the world that should worship me, but as the fact that I am a whole person who deserves as much respect and attention as any other person in the world. It's not a bad thing to expect your partner to take you into account in their decisions. I'm counting you, Chase. Then why have you kept your affair with Bradley Thornton a secret for the past 10 years? You choose him over me every time. You told me this. I didn't believe you. Now I see how honest you were. What do you want me to do, Chase? I do not want to lose you. I don't want to lose our marriage. Then leave Brad Thornton behind. Give me what you give him. Anna straightened up and fell silent. See, that's the whole point. You cannot. You will never be able to do this because you cannot help what your heart wants. You told me this once. I should have listened to you. Don't do this, Chase. Please. Think about the girls. What will we tell our families? Nothing changed. Nothing. The blinders have fallen off me, Anna. It's not on you. You are not bad, and I will not make you guilty. But I'm not bad either. I'm just a fool. That guy who thought he knew better than you how you would feel about me. It's my fault. I just don't think I can live with the disappointment. I deserve better. You won't find a better life than the one you have now, Chase. Probably no, but perhaps I will find a partner who wants me the most. The tears that had filled her eyes finally flowed down her cheeks. She wiped them with her hand, but they continued to fall. A nightmare. This can't happen. Sorry, Anna. It was an emotional day. I am going to sleep. We can talk again in the morning. I woke up. Is it okay for you to sleep in the same bed, or should I sleep here? Anna shrugged. You better be comfortable. I can't imagine sleeping tonight. I nodded and squeezed her shoulder as I walked past. She stared at the box with my silver medal. Chase, if you want to be number one in my heart so bad, how can you be so proud of finishing second at the World Championships? I thought for a moment. I've spent some time thinking about this, but haven't quite figured it out yet. But I was obliged to give her an answer. That race was on a certain day at a certain time. I gave it my all and got the best result I've ever achieved. I set a personal best, and only Philip Hodgin was better. On that day. While, if we had raced the next day, I could have finished sixth, or perhaps the former. But on that day, at that time, I beat everyone except the world record holder. I can accept second place because that's what I deserved, and it was beyond what I expected, so I'm so proud of it. What's great in sports is opportunity to win, an opportunity to do something that has never been done before, the opportunity to exceed what you thought you could achieve. And if you lose today, there's always another race tomorrow, and the next day. Every race is a chance to be the best. Marriage is not like that. This is an ongoing event. It's like the difference between film and photography. In skiing, I could have beaten Philip Hodgin if the race had been a day earlier or an hour later. Each race is a separate event, your photo. But marriage is like a movie, and every moment is connected to the previous and the next. I will never beat Brad Thornton for your love. Not yesterday, not today, not tomorrow. You love him more than me, and it continues. There's no way I'll ever be first. I gave you everything I had. I gave you 2 perfect children, house, all my attention, and you still choose him over me. That's the difference. But I don't want to lose you. I never had you to lose. But you had. We have the family and home to prove it. You have your children and your house under Plan A, but with your husband under Plan B. I am numb right now, but when this realization comes to me, it will leave a big mark. Good night, Anna. I won't give up, Chase. I'm not going to just let it go. I am going to sleep. Tomorrow, we'll start looking into the details. I felt completely defeated, yet shockingly light as I waited for sleep. I was empty. I lost the love of my life. No, I lost my marriage to the love of my life because of a mistake I made years ago, a mistake born of hope, but a mistake nonetheless. I have never had the love of my life. I may have had good intentions in believing that I could change her heart, but I was still doomed. However, errors can usually be corrected. This is exactly what I needed to do now. I felt the loss in every cell of my body, but the tension of loving someone who didn't love me as much was gone. I always knew on some level that I was pushing that rock uphill, and not having to do it anymore was a relief. In the end, our divorce was amicable, with time. At first, Anna felt completely betrayed, but as the news spread and our friends got over the shock, she calmed down. I'm not an asshole, not usually, anyway, and I never made Anna feel guilty. She tried to be just as generous to me and mostly succeeded. Because her love for me was not all-consuming, she was not as hurt as she could have been. Anyway, we eventually sorted out our divorce without anyone's hostility. I was devastated, but I was determined in my heart, so I got through it quite well too. We shared custody of our girls, and we presented a united front to them, so after they got used to moving between two homes, they were fine. Patty got PlayStations in both houses, and Beth was able to talk us into many pasta dinners. Our divorce puzzled our families, but we were all Yankees, so as long as we remained civil, no one interfered. Mandy survived cancer, and I imagine Brad Thornton continued to adore her. I couldn't envy them the marriage I wanted with Anna. Everyone should have this. I never asked Anna about them, and she never offered any details. I think Anna is dating, she's almost the perfect woman, after all, and maybe she'll find a guy who's willing to play second fiddle to the unavailable guy. I hope she continues to be honest, and I really hope he believes what she tells him. As for me, I am open to new relationships. I just haven't found anyone who turns me on as much as Anna does. Meeting women is a bit of a process, but I'm still young, still fit, and aside from a couple of daughters who take up half my free time, still available, so hopefully I'll find someone one day. Someone who will love me as much as I love her. I also have a silver medal prominently displayed. She shows me that anything is possible, except maybe changing another person's heart.